Good morning, Dan and Amy. California's got some holiday rules to make sure, out of an abundance of caution, you stay safe with your family if you're going to even take that existential risk to spend any time with any family member.
No more than 3 households can assemble at a time. The host has to collect the names and contact information of all attendees. All gatherings must be outdoors. Seating shall be 6 feet apart. Face coverings are mandatory unless eating or drinking, but they must be put back on, Dan, after you're done. And the gatherings should only be 2 hours or less. This is your COVID Christmas rules for the entire state
Well, they're
of
guidelines.
California.
They're guidelines so that they don't get sued for unconstitutional infringements on people's freedom of assembly.
No singing, chanting, or shouting because that could spread COVID-19. No singing at Christmas. No silent night.
Yeah, they won't be gathering around the piano to sing Christmas carols at the Jacobson household. Now, actually, it's being reported as guidelines, but what I see when I look at the State of California Health and Human Services Agency's missive, on official letterhead no less, mandatory requirements for all gatherings. Mm-hmm. Mandatory requirements for all gatherings. So actually, this is actionable, and hopefully some courageous California residents will take action and avail themselves of the courts. Anyone with COVID-like symptoms, stay at home, not come in contact with anyone outside their household.
Does it say wash your hands? Because I love to be told by politicians to wash my hands.
So on and so forth. Yeah, this is...
This is from the California Department of Public Health and Human Services Agency. Looking at it right now. This is such an overreach of government. And what are they going to have, Christmas police out there? Making sure you're not celebrating or have too many people?
It applies to private gatherings and all other gatherings not covered by existing sector guidance are prohibited. Applies to private gatherings. Gatherings not covered are assumed to be prohibited. So it says guidance, and then it says mandatory requirements for all gatherings. I guess we'll have to see if they're enforced before you get a sense of whether this is guidance or it is an edict. Anyway, that's not going to help the economy recover generally, particularly in California, but perhaps we're going to have to leave some states behind when it comes to economic recovery from COVID. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, author of Trumponomics. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, guys. By the way, are they saying that you have to wear a mask for Halloween?
This is for gatherings inside.
I can't keep track of the latest edicts.
Yeah, it varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, I suppose. But obviously, it's going to be a safety first Halloween, which I know is your favorite sort of Halloween, Steve. So we're going to leave California.
I have to say I usually do wear a mask for Halloween. So
yeah. We're going to leave California. We're going to leave Illinois. We're going to leave New York behind. There are some good signs of recovery. I don't want to overstate them, but it is worth noting. Housing activity, strong results in September, 5-month surge in housing starts. You also saw about 3x the projected retail spend in September. That's good news, but how optimistic should we be based on those data points?
Well, you're right. I mean, the economy is much, much, much better shape today than anybody thought it would be 6 months ago. I mean, it really is amazing. It's been with respect to the expectations, we've had a spectacular rebound, really kind of unprecedented and faster than any other country. We're getting a number that'll come out, I think, in the next 4 or 5 days. It'll show somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 35% growth in GDP for the third quarter, which is not only a record. I mean, it smashes the old record by, usually you get a 3 or 4 or 5% growth number, and that's really good. And we're getting 35%. So that's good. You mentioned retail sales, consumer spending is good. The housing is really hot. Construction is hot because that's related to housing. And then you have other industries, Dan and Amy, that have really been flattened, like the travel industry, obviously, and hospitality and restaurants. So it's a good picture and a bad picture in some ways. But I'll tell you one that I think is really amazing. that Trump should be talking about, that small business confidence, which is one of my favorite kind of lead indicators where the economy's headed, because small businessmen and women are the ones who are the spinal cord of the economy. And what the latest numbers for the NFIB show for small business confidence, and these are based on surveys of small business owners, is they are now more confident about the economy and the future than at any time during the 8 years Obama and Biden were president. Think about that. That's a pretty amazing thing. Here we are in the midst of a pandemic, and small business owners are more confident now than any time during the Obama-Biden years. There is a fiction out there, guys, that it's like this historical revisionism that the media keeps repeating, that somehow Obama and Biden fixed the economy. They didn't fix the economy. The economy was completely rotten. We were in a Great Depression during the first 4 years of the Obama-Biden, and we had a meek recovery during the second 4 years, and yet Biden's promising more of the same.
And is more good news that it doesn't look like another round of COVID relief is going to happen, at least before the election?
I hope not, and except I'm going to take away your the ending clause there until after the election. We don't need to spend $2 trillion more dollars. I know I'm going to Johnny OneNote on this for 3 months on your show, but the idea we're going to make everything wonderful in America again by spending $2 trillion on bailing out Illinois and California and Michigan and states like New York and New Jersey. By the way, what do all those states have in common? Oh, yeah, they're blue states run by Democrats that have been run into the ground. Look, I think Trump's closing arguments, Dan and Amy, should be this. We are two Americas right now. I don't say that with any joy, but we are. We're red state America that has basically used more limited government, less taxes, less regulation approaches. And then there's blue state America like Illinois and New York and New Jersey and California and Connecticut that have very activist governments, high taxes, high regulations. And which ones are performing better? Well, red states are clobbering blue states. I mean, you all know that. You live in Illinois. Illinois is in a meltdown, and if that tax increase passes in less than 2 weeks, Illinois, you can put a fork through Illinois, it's done. But why do we want to make Biden's basically running around the country saying, let's make the United States look more like New York and California and Illinois?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's going to raise taxes on corporations and the super wealthy. I mean, if you're a high earner in New York and California, you're going to see your combined state and federal tax rates jump from 50 to 60%.
60%, yeah. And even 50 cents is against that. But you can tell I'm frustrated because I'm looking at these polls showing Biden's got a pretty substantial lead right now. I'm like, are people brain dead out there?
I don't know about that. I don't know about substantial lead.
The
national numbers don't matter.
Sometimes I was looking at the polls this morning, and they weren't great. I still think the polls are a little bit misleading. And by the way, I was there 4 years ago when they said we had this at this point. Trump had a 10% chance of winning. So I'm not throwing in the towel. I think a lot of work has to be done. The debate. Is it tomorrow night?
Yeah, tomorrow night,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that will be critical. Trump just has to act presidential. Don't be a jerk. Don't be rude. And lay out the differences, folks. But
yeah,
I don't
lay out the record.
I'm a little bad mood. Also, I was looking at this Wall Street Journal poll, and it just showed Americans' attitudes, are just out of sync. Americans support, universal basic income. They want free college. They want free this and that. I mean, we're becoming a big welfare state.
Well, you can understand how they get addicted to the candy when the candy continues to be doled out, seemingly without consequence, or at least they're told it's going to be without consequence.
Of course, Dan. Where in the world have those policies ever worked?
No,
I mean, really.
nowhere.
I mean, the problem is we're not teaching kids history. They don't know American history. They don't know European history. They don't know anything about economics. It's just so sad that Americans seem to be falling for this socialist, lie. That accomplishes people.
It's difficult to discern because at the same time you have that Gallup number that we've talked about in this show. 56% of Americans think that they're better off now than they were 4 years ago, which is a much higher percentage than Obama had before he was reelected, before W had before he was reelected.
Yep.
And so you just wonder if ultimately that is what wins the day, if people don't like the president in terms of his personality and conduct, but at the end of the day, they reflect back on whether or not things are better, and they have prospects for things to be better yet, and they decide they have to swallow hard and vote for Trump.
It's and I look at this. One of the bellwethers will be whether the voters of Illinois pass this insane, CRISPR tax. It will. I'm not exaggerating, folks. I mean, Illinois is going to suffer greatly, and it's not going to be rich people, because rich people aren't going to be there to tax anymore. It's going to be the people at the bottom of the income scale that are going to see fewer jobs, fewer opportunities. Schools will suffer. Public services will suffer, and it's this idea that you can just keep taxing and taxing and taxing rich people. Folks, there are 9 states that don't have any income tax at all. Florida beckons, Texas beckons, Tennessee beckons. We all know people, that have left. I remember, Dan and Amy, the story last year about more people leaving to go to West Virginia than West Virginians come to Illinois. When you're behind West Virginia, you got a problem, Illinois.
Uh-huh. And thinking about tomorrow's debate, in addition to the top line framing of the choice that you just did a minute ago, what else should Trump prosecute with respect to Biden's stated economic plans? Maybe the issue of fracking that he prosecuted in Erie, Pennsylvania yesterday.
Well, that's a big one. In fact, our group's Committee on Unleashed Prosperity is running ads in Pennsylvania saying, hey, people in Ohio and Pennsylvania, he's telling us he's going to destroy all the oil and gas and coal jobs in America. I mean, they're not even shy about it. They're telling us they're going to do that. There are 300,000 people in Ohio and Pennsylvania that have been employed by the fracking revolution, which made us energy independent. And again, this is the dingbat of philosophy of the left, that somehow we're going to run a $20 trillion economy with windmills. I mean, really? Does anyone believe that? I mean, it will cause an explosion of our energy prices. We finally, after 50 years, reached energy independence. And finally, we got there. And now we're going to shut it down?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Stephen Moore, do you have any, I know that you've had access to President Trump. Do you know if he's doing any debate prep for tomorrow?
Well, of course he is. He didn't prepare very well, in my opinion, for the first debate.
Yeah. Well, neither did Biden.
And not only, but he was unprepared. So he's got to knock us out of the park. Now, Amy, I was there 4 years ago when he debated Hillary Clinton at, I think it was Hofstra College in New York. And I remember Larry Kudlow and I walked out, and Trump was horrible. I mean, it was one of the worst debate performances I've ever seen. And we were just, oh, my God, he's going to go down in flames. But then he came back and rallied in the second and third debate. Now, there's not going to be a third debate, but there will be a second one. And Trump trounced Hillary in the last debate. That's one of the reasons he won. So this guy can rally, but he has to just act presidential. This really is, unfortunately, as Dan was saying, it's become an election about his personality and not his performance. And what we're going to, and that just doesn't work for Trump, because people don't like him. But you got, as Dan was saying, the economy's coming back. We have the best economy ever in 2019. Our tax cuts, our deregulation. By the way, sorry about the dog barking. I'm sheltering at home because of all these stupid restrictions.
That's all right. It's not as bad as the Zoom call we did with Jeffrey Toobin.
Hey-oh.
Steve,
hey, too soon? Too soon?
Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, Trumponomics author. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Have a great week. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, I'm Dave Nissen, CEO and President of Mueller CPA. The recent past has challenged us all from many perspectives. Our focus has been first on protecting our employees and second on making sure our clients are properly listened to and served during this economically challenging